Hey guys, look what I got. That's right, I got the JJRC H23. It is an RC flying car, but I'm gonna quit talking. We're gonna open up the box and we're gonna see what's going on inside. Alright guys, here's everything that comes inside the box. Right here we've got our flying car, we've got a radio here, and there we've got our battery charger and spare props. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at everything outside of the box. Here's everything outside of the box, guys. And now we're going to take a look at everything up close individually. Here's our accessories pack. We've got spare props. We've got a screwdriver, which is always handy to have one of those little small screwdrivers around. Usually they shred pretty easy, so it's nice to have spares. And in here is also the USB charger for the 1S battery, and when we look at the quadcopter, we'll talk more about the battery. And here is the flying car, or quadcopter, or drone, whatever you want to call it. So, we've got lights here, we've got lights here, and a nice one right there. So potentially this could be a night flyer, which is always a cool thing. The coloring on this, I was a little lukewarm about yellow, but that was all that was available when I ordered this. But that's okay, because in person this thing looks really cool. The yellow and black really go well together, so that's a good thing. As far as the actual driving on this thing, it is rear-wheel drive. It's rear geared and front wheels. I believe that is where the steering takes place. That's probably why we've got these pins here, but we'll test all that out coming up soon. As far as the battery goes, which can be an important component of getting any of these things, having accessible batteries, easy batteries to get a hold of that you may already have too, is always a bonus. Alright, and here's the off-on switch right there too. So right here we've got a 750 milliamp hour 1S battery with the most common connector, which is a good thing. So I can use my 500 and 600s in here, slightly less flight time, but I've got those at the ready. I don't need to order new batteries to make sure I get lots of fun with this. So that is a very good consideration. Up next, we've got the radio right there to take a closer look at. Alright guys, here is the radio. We're going to go over our basic functions on this radio, and then we're going to have some fun with that. Alright, so first up, most people wonder how to do flips with things like this. Well, this one A can do flips, and B, this is how you do them. Push that, and then you move this stick any one of those four directions. So if you push that and go like that, it will flip that way. It'll do an aileron roll. And if you want to do a front flip, push that and then push that stick up at the same time, and it will flip forward. Same thing backwards and left to right, and so on. Alright, so here are your basic trim buttons. Hopefully you know how to use those. If not, we'll discuss that in the comments below. Alright, so here we've got our mode button. This apparently has 3 different speeds. So you push that down, and it's got 3 beeps, so it sounds like it's in the 3rd mode. And you keep on hitting that until you get the different mode that you want of the 3. And up here we've got our headless mode, and we've got our, it's a 1-key return mode. I typically don't use either. I don't think they're good for beginners or for advanced flyers, but that's my opinion. It's there if you want to use it. Use at your own discretion. And coming up next, we are going to test this thing out. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have the car on. Next, we turn on the radio. It won't bind unless you have the car on first. I know that's counterintuitive to a lot of RC stuff, but this is how it works. Boom. And now you're bound up, and it starts out in low rates. And to drive it, you drive it with this stick here. You also steer it with this stick. So there we go. Forwards, backwards. There's not much room to really get going on this bed here. Get it back into frame. I do want to show you this with the lights off. As you guys can see, the lights are quite bright. we're going to do its first flight in flight mode on any camera in the dark. Now the first thing I notice is that this thing is a nice stable flyer. Wow, it's got a really good yaw rate too. That is good. Get a little closer to the camera. This actually flies pretty well just for a quadcopter. I'll set this down here. And I was testing the speed in the other modes down my hallway, and this thing is a lot faster than my Syma that I reviewed about 1.5 years or so ago. That has 2 million views, by the way, on that video. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It was when I first really kind of got started making videos, so it's not perfect, but it's definitely is what it is, and it's been successful, which is why I got this. All right, I'm going to turn the lights back on, and then we're going to check this out a little bit more. All right, guys, we are back with the lights on, and I just switched it into mode number 2. And now we're going to test that out. The driving real quick. It's definitely not slow. It seems, even on this surface, it's not bad. The steering is actually pretty darn responsive, all things considered. And it's got enough power to kind of spin the wheels on this surface. Yeah, that's not a slow, not a bad turn. All right. So, in flight mode number 2, we're going to start off facing each other, which is usually not a smart thing to do. I like to take off behind it, but we're going to see how that goes. Flight mode number 2. Yeah, this thing flies great, guys. Just as a quadcopter alone, this flies nice. Very responsive in flight mode number 2. I'm barely giving any control inputs. I'm probably going to save the flight mode number 3 until we get outside. Alright, so I'm going to set that down here, but now we're going to do the drive in flight mode number 3 just to test the speed, see if the speed is that much difference. And again, there's 3 beeps, so that means we're in the highest setting. There are 3 different speed settings. Yeah, it feels faster, seems to want to spin out a little bit more. It's having a hard time getting good traction on the bed, which makes sense. Its wheels are foam, its tires are foam, so foam on surface like this, it makes sense that it's not getting terribly good grip. But it definitely has some power, and on a different surface I'm sure it would do a lot better. I do not want to run this off the bed, so I'm just going to stop that right there. Coming back, we're going to do our final review notes. Alright guys, we're going to do a pros and cons here. First thing I want to comment on is the looks and the color. This thing looks good, and the color in person is so much more striking than I thought it was going to be. It really looks good, so that's definitely a pro. The lights, another big pro. I didn't think the lights were going to be quite as strong, and in fact, I didn't show you this earlier, but these things light up. I'm sure you probably saw that in the dark footage, but I want to point that out because that's huge. That is really cool. It helps with visibility. I flew the first flight in here with just the lights, and I felt very comfortable doing so. So that is huge. It flies really well, guys. It handles like a nice quadcopter, so that alone makes this a nice value. And it drives fast. It drives a lot faster than my other flying car. You know, this thing overall, I'm very impressed with this. The only con was pretty much the radio, as far as the radio goes. These sticks, they're just straight plastic, and if you get rough with them, you could possibly snap them off. I haven't done that, so I can't really give that a complete con, but it's definitely not the most durable built system, at least going on face value anyway. The other thing that I found, and this was after I flew it, was to get to the first flight mode, I had to turn things off and to reset everything each time. So, for example, when I went past the second flight mode, it wouldn't get out of the third flight mode. So that's definitely a con. But overall, this thing is awesome. I really do like it. So, like, comment, and subscribe. And GB Linden out.